Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And before I move forward, may I request you to subscribe, follow, like, and comment on whichever platform you are watching or listening to this show on. And today we have Sebastian Schieke, entrepreneur, mentor, investor, live from Frankfurt, Germany. Welcome to the show, Sebastian.
Hi, thanks for having me, Ajay.
Thank you. Thank you, Sebastian, for your time. And today we'll be talking about how to lead your business remotely. So you are an expert today. You have founded several, seven-figure companies. You are an investor, and a master of tech startups, and now you are managing your own team remotely, which is across several continents. So why do you think now remote managing one team is so important in today's time, Sebastian? If we can start with that.
Yes. So, when I look back at my 25 years as an entrepreneur, when I started, first of all, I was on my own the first years, and then I started building teams. And those teams were basically physical teams. We had people in the office for many, many decades. And basically, it was a different type of working with people. You could walk over to a colleague, you could talk to them, you met people in the kitchen, you exchanged ideas, you went for a drink after work, you had lunch together. And this has changed. This has changed quite dramatically for many companies and also for us. So nowadays, my team is 100% remote. I have people in, as you said, on a different continent. I have a team in the Philippines. I have people in Germany, of course. We have freelancers from all parts of the world helping us. And you cannot just walk over to talk to them. You don't meet them in the kitchen anymore. You don't have a drink with them after work. So you need to adapt a different style of leading, a different way of dealing with people, of motivating people, of inspiring people, because they're not physically present anymore. And I believe that this is not going away. We all learned that home office is working. During the pandemic, many people worked from their homes, and we realized, this is working. But now we face different issues. It's very hard to find the right people for your team. It's very hard to find the right skills in your proximity. So what do? You have to recruit people from places where they live. And this is not only your country or your town. No, it's sometimes a different country, or it's a different continent. I'm invested in a startup, and we have a team now in Argentina. And the startup is placed in Germany.
Right, Sebastian. Now, in this change scenario, the most important work or the role is that of the leader, whether it's a CEO, it's an entrepreneur, or it's anybody else like you who is managing their team.
Definitely.
What does a leader should know about different sort of skill sets that would be needed for managing teams now than earlier on? What are the top skills that a leader should have in leading these skills? What should they focus on today?
Yeah, I don't think you need completely different skills, but you need to be more focused. You need to be more intentional, and you need to hone your skills. So in the end, you need to focus on two things. You need to focus on leading yourself and leading your team, obviously. So why is leading yourself so important? Because also you as a leader, you're on your own most of the time. So you have to know how to motivate yourself. You have to know how to create a work environment for yourself that you can be focused, that you can be high performing, that you can be motivated, and that you have the mental toughness as a leader to follow through, because you don't have anyone coming into your office helping you. So first of all, you have to start with yourself. When you get up on a Monday morning, you go to your office or you work from home, you have to know how to get in the right state to be on top of your game. Because you are the leader. If you're not in the right state and you talk to your team on Zoom or Teams or whatever, then how should they be in the right state if you as a leader are not performing? So this is really rule number one. You have to manage yourself. You have to lead yourself, and this is even more important in this virtual world, because I mean, we're all missing this physical contact. We're missing seeing people in the offices and exchanging ideas. So leading yourself is top. And then, of course, you have to be a great leader for your team. Well, this starts with creating a vision that you get the buy-in from them. So you also need to create a vision for your company when you run a physical office, but as you have this distance to your team members, this vision has to be more stronger, that they really buy in, that they are connected to you. You have to invest in a lot of communication. You have to do things more intentional. For example, I mean, in the past, you meet people in the kitchen or, you meet for a drink after work. But now this doesn't happen anymore. So you have to put this in your calendar. You have to schedule also these some people say, this is not that important. But no, it is even more important. So we have check-in calls in the morning, where we just dial in, where we exchange a few words, where we ask how people are, how they feel. And we have check-out calls in the afternoon, in the evening. And then people know, okay, there's something scheduled. And we also plan social activities. For example, we have a Friday night, a Friday evening wine beer hour, where we just meet and talk privately. This is so important. And then, of course, I mean, this comes with different facets. When you run a global team, you deal with different cultures.
Right.
You have to understand the culture. And you have to bring different cultures together, which makes it even more interesting. So there's so many facets of leading a virtual team.
Right. And, Carry on.
I'm sorry, I can talk for hours, but what the question is, how do you get people to know? How do you really understand what is driving them, how they behave and how they think? And as I said, I'm also working as a mentor and helping leaders to lead themselves and their team. We're actually using a lot of personality assessments now, because when you interview someone physically in the office, you have different ways of really getting this person to know. There are more senses you can use, but on a Zoom call, it's quite difficult. And this is why we nowadays use assessments, which basically look at this personality on three angles. One is kind of behavioral tendencies. So is this person more a people-focused person or more a task-focused person? Are they more guarded or open? Different aspects of behavioral tendencies, which is very important. Then we look at what is motivating those people. They have 7 dimensions of motivation, which you can, with these assessments, quite accurately identify. And then you have thinking patterns. Many people, basically everyone, sometimes we have some blind spots. When we make decisions, we think in a certain way, and identifying these blind spots and working on these blind spots, it's very important to make the right decision in the end, because every decision starts with a thought. So these 3 dimensions, behavior, motivators, and thinking dimensions, those are assessments we use when we hire, but also when we develop our teams. So, for example, with my startups, I run workshops where we assess every member of these teams, and then we create a kind of a team report. And you see these tendencies within the team, and you see where you might have challenges in terms of communication and working together, and then you can really nail down on these challenges and work on them. So it's fascinating. It's actually managing and leading remote teams, processes and tools which are available they are more focused now and help you a lot in creating an amazing work culture.
Right, Sebastian. Now, let us look at this whole concept of leading teams this way. Firstly, earlier on, when you were the leader, you were the CEO, you had a headquarter, you used to go there, and you knew that you are the CEO. Everybody around you, the whole office knew that you are the top boss. And things used to work around you and used to just instruct. Now, how does a person, a CEO or a leader who is working remotely like anybody else, feel that he's the CEO? What makes him feel that he is the top boss and that the buck stops with him at him? How does he motivate himself? What drives him? If he's just a CEO, how does it work for him?
Like, the question is, what is your role as a CEO, and what is a modern way of leadership, be it physical within an office or remotely? And I strongly believe in this concept of servant leadership. Okay. Your job as a CEO is to create a work environment for your team to thrive. Your job is to empower them, that they are able to make decisions, that they are able to develop the business. And that's not only relying on you. Your job as a leader is to create an organization which doesn't depend on you anymore. In the past, I also made the mistake of thinking, I'm the CEO, I'm the most important person, I have to make all the decisions and so on. But hey, do I want to do this? Do you want to make all the decisions? No. You should work on an organization and not in an organization. And this is why one of the main rules of servant leadership is, create an environment that they can thrive, that they know what to do, that they are empowered to make decisions. The world is so complex nowadays. Yeah. When you, interesting story. I was running a marketing agency many years ago, and I was talking to the head of sales, and we talked about how to improve their marketing and sales processes within the company. So, and talked to them, and I made them an offer for an initial assessment. And then I didn't hear from them for a few weeks, and I asked them, hey, what's going on? I said, in next week we have our board meeting. Then we will talk about this. So, okay, interesting. 2 weeks later, I called him again, asked, okay, how did the board meeting go? Yeah, we didn't talk about this topic because we had many other topics and it was postponed. So in the end, it was a total of 6 weeks, So, I mean, look at this. When you look at how fast the world moves nowadays, what happens in 6 weeks? Look what happens in the last couple of months in the world, I mean, the whole world is turned upside down with the war and everything. And if all the decisions take so much time within an organization, you're screwed. So you have to empower the people who are basically on the front line, who know what's happening at the customer to make decisions. And this is why your job as a CEO, as a leader, is to create the environment so that they can thrive, that they can lead their part and be empowered enough to make the right decision for the company. Of course, they will make mistakes, but so will you as a leader, And I would rather have an organization which runs independently myself than it's able to grow. Because in the end, the leader is the bottleneck of an organization. If everything needs to be channeled through a leader, the organization is in trouble.
Okay. Now, the important part here comes about the clients. There are several clients, several meetings that the leader has to be, in touch with them. Mm-hmm. And many a times, because of today's environment or remote working, the leader may need to connect with the clients remotely. Now, how does he do that in the best manner possible? How does he make sure or ensure the clients that that things are going on very well, and that he is the one who is in control of everything, and they can trust him? How does it work? Earlier on, the client used to visit offices. They used to see you in your office, in your cabin, and it would be much more assuring with people working around and things happening on the ground. Now, how does it work like this? How do you assure your clients? Are there any tricks to it?
Yeah, I mean, you are present in a different way. As you mentioned, in the past, you've been present going to the offices and being around. Now, a lot has moved to social media. Yeah? So as a CEO, as a leader, you should be present on these social platforms. Yeah, like LinkedIn, for example, which is a business network. You should be present, and you should give your client really showing them what you're doing on a regular basis, how your company is developing, sharing news, but also sharing opinions about certain topics, that they know that you are around, that they know that you are still in the game. And then, of course, like any other business, or like in the past, you have to meet them also virtually. You have to. I mean, if you see yourself as someone who's working on your business and not being involved in all these day-to-day activities, then you can look at your company with some distance. You can look at, okay, how do my services meet the expectations of my clients? Yeah, what can I change? How can I make the business smoother? And of course, you need to talk to your clients on a regular basis. Not via physical meetings anymore, but primarily via virtual tools. But you need to do this. And by being a bit more distant from your business, you don't have the mental involvement. You're not so caught in these day-to-day challenges. When I was running my first company, I was full into day-to-day work, and of course you get sucked into the challenges which happens everywhere, like political games in a project and so on, and this costs you energy, and then you don't make the right decision anymore because you are tired by this rat race you're in. So my advice is detach yourself as much as possible from day-to-day activities, and then you have the energy to talk to your clients, understand their needs, and make the right changes in your organization.
Okay. Okay. And in terms of, you see, when we are talking of CO, we are talking of a, a mid-size or a big organization. But what
Mhm.
about smaller places where entrepreneurs are there? They have a 10 to 15 member team, and they are all working largely remotely.
Yes.
What would you tell them how they can manage their team remotely in such a setting which has its own limitations?
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, how do you lead your remote team? Understand them. I mean, first of all, lead yourself. Yeah, be in the right shape, be present to them, be available. Yeah? I mean, you have to imagine they are sitting somewhere else, maybe in a different country, on a different continent. They have to understand that you are there for them. So if they have an issue, you should be present and listen to them. You should invest in your understanding, that you understand how they what they need and how they behave. And we always say when we run these communication workshops, there's this golden rule of communication, saying treat others in the way you want to be treated. But there's an even better rule saying treat others in the way they want to be treated. So you have to invest in to understand them, what their needs are, and then you should adapt your communication style to meet their needs so that they feel valued, that they feel. I mean, the biggest challenge or the biggest issue many of our clients have, or say another, the biggest challenge I see in primarily large organizations is that the people they don't feel valued. They don't feel that their work matters. And if you, as a small organization, can give your staff, your team, the understanding that their part really matters, that what they produce is valuable for the organization and for you, and that you really appreciate what they do, then you already have a high level of great leadership, because appreciation is so important, especially in a disconnected world we all live in. But they feel valued, that they feel that their contribution matters. It's very important.
Okay. Okay, Sebastian. Now, in terms of, you see, these are good times also, if I understand, in terms of hiring people. Now, with remote working, you can hire people from across the world,
Yes.
and as per your budget requirement. Now, how do you? Firstly, you can hire. Obviously, there are ways you can hire. Now,
Mhm.
how do you assess your teams during these times when everybody is working remotely, and especially if there are freelancers or somebody who is working in a different culture, different time zone, and with a different sort of a role where you may not understand too much about a certain aspect of a technology. How do you how should you behave, or how should the leadership lead when and get the best work done in this scenario?
Yeah. So first of all, it starts with the hiring, right? I mean, how do you assess people when you interview them? And as I said, we're using these personality assessments, where you answer some questions, takes about 20 to 30 minutes. And then you get quite detailed reports about their personality, about their behavioral tendencies, their motivators, and their thinking patterns. So this is one element. Then, of course, you need to understand what kind of how do they work, what kind of value they produce, and then you have to give them some test tasks, small projects to really test how they produce their physical or their digital products, but also how do they engage with the other team members. Yeah, this is even more important. Yeah, so put them in we put them in a team for a day or two. Yeah, I mean, of course, pay them for this work. I mean, many companies, they test people, they test people and then they don't pay them, and this is really bad because, hey, if they produce something, they should be remunerated. But put them in a team and see how does the communication work with the team, what kind of results do they produce, and ask your team members. I mean, they have to work with them in the end. Ask them if they like working with this person. Ask them what could be improved, what could be changed in order to really get a clear view on this candidate. But using these assessments helped us a lot to really understand personalities of people, especially when they are remote.
Right, Sebastian. Now, one big risk when you are hiring remotely and when people are working across different time zones, different places, is that they may have a background which you may not be able to assess during the initial period. And by the time you come to know, you have already shared a lot about your company, about your clients, a lot of information that you would not otherwise share.
Mhm.
How does a company, small company, medium-sized company especially, de-risk themselves when they are hiring people remotely from such situations?
Yeah, I mean, you cannot eliminate this risk completely. I mean, that's how it is. But I would argue that if you hire someone physically or here in an office, you also cannot really check those people completely. Yeah, you can also get, as we call it, the black sheep and have someone in a team. I mean, I had people physically here in the office which completely disappointed me. So this can happen everywhere. I think it's a mindset switch you have to take as a remote leader, that those people, just because they are remotely, they are not less trustworthy than people you hire physically here, because they can also steal, they can also take knowledge from you. And I had people in my company, I hired them, and then a year later they resigned and left and took a big portion of my business, because the only purpose was to steal clients from me, and this is why they came to my company. And I couldn't prevent it. Yeah, I mean, it happened, but as I said, I mean, it happens in the physical world, and it can also happen in the digital world. Yeah, I think if the point is, as a leader, you have to be open. You have to develop the right mindset that you not only see the challenges, but to see these big opportunities we business leaders have with this remote world of experts and amazing people out there waiting to help us. I mean, in the past, 20 years ago, when I hired a person, yeah, I put an advert in a newspaper. I got physical folders of paper, and one day I had such a pile of applications on my desk. You have to go through them, you have to send them back, and so on. It's a process. It takes weeks until you have someone available. Now, depending what I'm looking for, if I need someone for a quick gig, couple of hours, days, or weeks, I put this on a platform. Within hours, I have a list of suitable candidates. I start interviewing, and a day later, I close this position. When I hire for long term, yes, it maybe takes a week or two to have a great amount of good candidates, and then you start your interviewing process, or you already started, obviously, and you can close this position, if you're lucky, within a short amount of weeks. So and all these skills which are out there, this is amazing what you can find. It's amazing. Everything I think of, I can cater when I go outside and and look for candidates. I mean, we run virtual challenges, events where we teach entrepreneurs how to find and identify the right talents online, how to onboard them, and of course you need to use certain tools and infrastructures to work with remote people. I mean, this is all available nowadays, and we're not gonna want to do a tech talk here, but there's so many great tools out there you can use to lead your team. But I always say, look at the opportunities this remote world brings. Of course, there are challenges. Of course, there are bad people out there who might steal from you. But hey, they are also here next door. You know, they come to your office and then you have the same issue.
Right, Sebastian. Now, one thing I wanted to understand was that leaderships are of different ways. Some are micromanagers, some are, macro, look at things macro. And
Yeah.
in an office setting, it can be well reflected. But online, if a leader tries to be more hands-on and he is more of a macro manager, then he becomes micro. It would look like he's sort of poking his nose into his other people's stuff. So how should a leader present himself in terms of guiding and not interfering? What are there is there a way that a leader or an entrepreneur should conduct himself for his employees or for his team?
Mhm. Good question. I mean, in the end, as I said, it's not much different to leading physical teams. My job as a leader is to give the direction, to create the work environment, to advise my people and to help them. But ideally, they have more knowledge about this particular subject than I have. If I'm the most intelligent people in the room, then I did something wrong, I mean, I hire people that they know things better than me. I don't hire people that I have to tell them all the time. I mean, of course, sometimes you develop people and then you coach them. But in the end, if you hire experts for a particular topic, then they should know their topic inside out. And I have the vision. I know the direction. Oh, we should go this way. We need certain aspects. So, for example, when we sell digital products, we need the product, we need advertising, we need customer service, we need certain aspects. But I'm not an expert in all these individual topics. So this is why I hire people, and they should know how this works. So I can only give the direction, the guidance, and then of course measure the results. And if we don't get results, well, then we have to look into this.
Right.
Then we have to ask what's happening, what is preventing them from achieving more. So going back to me, can I do more in terms of creating a work environment that they can thrive?
Right.
Yeah.
Carry on. I'm listening.
But I don't want to be the person who's going down on every detail and checking what they do. That's not my job.
Okay. Now, my last question to you, Sebastian, is we have covered quite a lot of stuff, and you have, given a lot of guidance to the leaders. Now, my last question is now, COVID is almost on a wane, and a lot of organizations are coming down to, hybrid models.
Yes.
Some places full-fledged office working, and that's the debate going on. Amidst all these things, the great resignation has happened. A lot of people have moved on to freelance work. A lot of people have moved on to only remote work. That's their preference. And a lot of people have become entrepreneurs. Amidst all these things, as things are going back to normal, a huge number of entrepreneurs, what should they take or learn out of all these experience of remote working, hybrid thing, client working with the clients, remotely and now getting back to normal meetings, what changes for them? What should the entrepreneur take? What should be the key takeaway for an entrepreneur for his way forward? How do you see this whole thing going forward?
Mhm. Also a very good question. I mean, yes, we will end up in a hybrid world, where we have teams on site, people remote, full-time people remote, but also people working as on freelance gigs, like kind of satellites, and I think this is what I always teach my clients, and also when I mentor the startups I'm invested in. You're gonna have to treat the people. You shouldn't make a difference how you treat people, if they are remote or physically. They all should feel valued. They all should feel that they contribute something important to your organization. This is a very important topic, because once you start differentiating between, oh, these are my physical people here and those are my remote people, then you might be in trouble, because the remote people, they will feel not happy anymore. So their output will most likely be reduced. They won't put in all their hard blood anymore to the organization, because hey, they are not valued. They are not feeling in the same way as these physical people feel. I had this experience. I was a freelancer 25 years ago, and I was working at a client side, and they had meetings only for the internal staff. But the point is, we had more externals in the team than internals. It was completely ridiculous, So they excluded all these externals. They went to an internal meeting, and everyone else, we felt disconnected. Yeah. So create an environment of trust, of appreciation, of valuing people, no matter where they sit, and create an environment where communication flows, where you invite people also. You don't have internal meetings without people from the remote, so they need to be present. I mean, sometimes, I have one employee. He's living nearby, so every now and then he comes to the office. When we have a meeting, we do the meeting on Zoom or on Teams. Yeah, he sits in the office, I'm sitting in the office, and then we have all the other people from all around, and there's no difference, And this is important, in my opinion.
Great, Sebastian. As I said, you have covered a lot of stuff and given a lot of guidance for entrepreneurs and a lot of CEOs and businesses, and how somebody can lead their teams mainly remotely, and even when things come back to normal. Now, if somebody wants to connect with you, take your guidance personally, how do they do that? How do they connect with you? How do they do business with you?
Yes, of course, you can find me, and I guess you will put the links in the show notes on LinkedIn, right, or on different platforms, via email. So I'm primarily active on LinkedIn, but you can reach me on email and other. We have certain arrangements with our clients. I do with some people I work one-to-one. But we also have group mentoring, group coaching, where we work in a team, kind of masterminds. We run virtual events quite regularly, where we connect with different business people and work together on certain topics. So reach out to us, to my team and myself, and let's talk. Let's just have a chat and see how we can support you, and then we can find the right format. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much indeed, Sebastian, for all this information, all these insights, and we will continue to talk on more topics as we go along. So once again, thank you so much. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. See you again.
Thank you so much, AJ, for having me. It's a pleasure to talk to you and over continents. And It's been an amazing experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you.